The twin suns beat down on June's back as he climbed over the rocky hill. Sweat rolled down his face inside his lightweight breathing mask. He had been walking for 3 hours now, far from the human research base where he lived and worked. June was a xenobiologist. That meant he studied alien animals on this new planet called Proxima b. Humans had only built their base here 3 years ago. There was still so much to learn about this strange world. Base Command, this is June. I am in Sector 7 now. Many new plant samples collected. We'll continue north toward the Misty Valley, he said into his wrist communicator. Copy that, June. Remember to return before dark. Storm patterns show bad weather coming, replied the voice of Director Minji. June nodded to himself and continued walking. His collection bag was already full of strange blue leaves and orange root samples, but he wanted to find something special today, something no other human had seen before. The Misty Valley ahead was not on the approved exploration list, but June had seen it from the observation tower and felt drawn to it. Sometimes a scientist had to take risks to make discoveries. As he entered the valley, a thick fog wrapped around him. The air became cooler and strange chirping sounds echoed from unseen creatures. June's heart beat faster with excitement and a little fear. His scanner showed unusual life readings all around him. Then he heard it, a low, pained howl that cut through the mist. It didn't sound like any creature they had cataloged before. The howl came again, longer and more desperate. June hesitated. Base rules said to avoid unknown large animals, but the sound held such pain that he couldn't ignore it. He turned off his path and followed the cries deeper into the valley. After 20 minutes of careful walking, June found the source of the noise. In a small clearing, a large animal lay trapped under fallen rocks. The creature was unlike anything in their research files. It had 6 limbs, 4 powerful legs and 2 smaller front limbs with clawed digits almost like hands. Its body was covered in scales that shifted colors between deep purple and blue in the light. The head was wolf-like but with a longer snout, and a row of small horns running from its forehead down its back. Most striking were its eyes, large, intelligent, and amber-colored. The research team had seen this species from a distance and classified it as apex predator species TR7. They were known to be dangerous and territorial. All researchers were told to stay far away from them, but this one was clearly hurt. More than that, June could see the creature's swollen belly. It was female and pregnant, very pregnant. "You're going to be a mother soon," June whispered. The creature's ears perked up at his voice. Her eyes locked onto his face. There was fear there, but also something else. Something like understanding. June knew he should call Base Command. They would send a security team who would probably kill the creature for safety. He looked at the frightened animal again and made his decision. He silenced his communicator. "I'm going to help you," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." Working slowly and talking in a gentle voice, June used his excavation tools to begin moving the smaller rocks. The creature growled at first but seemed to understand he was helping. When he got close to her injured leg, she snapped once in warning, but then remained still, watching him work. It took 3 hours to free her. The sun was getting low and June's back ached from the effort. Finally, the last rock was moved. The creature's back leg was badly cut and possibly broken. She tried to stand but fell back with a whine of pain. "Let me help with that too," June said. He slowly opened his medkit. The animal watched every move. He prepared a pain-relieving spray and disinfectant. "This might feel cold," he warned before applying the spray to the wound. The creature flinched but didn't bite him. June could hardly believe how calm she was. It was as if she knew he was trying to help. As he worked on bandaging the leg, June thought the creature needed a name. "I'll call you Hana," he said. "That was my grandmother's name. She was strong like you." Hana made a soft, rumbling sound, almost like a purr. When June finished with the bandage, he stood up and stepped back. He expected Hana to limp away into the forest as quickly as possible. But she didn't move. She just watched him, her amber eyes never leaving his face. June's communicator suddenly buzzed. He had forgotten to turn it back on. June, report immediately. The storm has changed direction. You have less than an hour to reach safety. Director Minji's voice was sharp with worry. June looked at Hana, then at the darkening sky. I have to go, he said, though he knew the animal couldn't understand him. There's a storm coming, you should find shelter too. He turned and began walking quickly toward the small research shelter that was closer than the main base. To his surprise, he heard a dragging sound behind him. Looking back, he saw Hana following him, limping badly, but determined. You can't. Come with me, June said. The other humans, they wouldn't understand. Hana made a soft whining sound. She took another painful step toward him. Her eyes seemed to plead with him. June knew he was making a career-risking decision, maybe even a dangerous one. But as the first drops of rain began to fall and the wind picked up, he nodded. Okay, there's a research shelter ahead. You can stay there until you're stronger, until your babies come. He gestured for Hana to follow him. Come on, girl, hurry. Together, the human scientist and the alien beast made their way through the gathering storm. Lightning flashed in the distance. June found himself worrying about the strange creature like she was an old friend. The small research shelter appeared just as the rain began to pour. It was little more than a sturdy shed with basic supplies, a communication system, and a cot. June opened the door and stood back. Come in, Hana, you'll be safe here. The creature limped past him into the shelter, her scaled body brushing against his legs. She turned once inside and made that strange purring sound again. As June closed the door against the howling wind, he wondered what his fellow scientists would say if they knew he had just invited one of the planet's most dangerous predators to share his shelter. Even more, he wondered what would happen when her babies arrived. Somehow, looking into Hana's intelligent eyes, he wasn't afraid. He felt like he had made a friend, a very unusual friend. Outside, the storm raged across the alien landscape. Inside, human and beast watched each other with growing trust as the night fell. 3 days had passed since June brought Hana to the small research shelter. The storm had finally stopped, but June had not returned to the main base. Each morning, he sent false reports about collecting plant samples. Each night, he slept on the floor while Hana took the small cot. Your leg is healing well, June said as he checked the bandage on Hana's hind leg. The alien creature made a soft rumbling sound that June had come to recognize as happiness. June's wrist communicator buzzed. Field Scientist June, this is Director Minji. Your extended field mission is unusual. Is everything okay? The voice sounded suspicious. June glanced at Hana before answering. Everything is fine, Director. The storm damaged some of my equipment. I found some interesting plant species here. Need more time to study them. There was a pause. 2 more days, June. Then return to base with your samples. Understood, Director. June turned off the communicator and sighed. We don't have much time, Hana. The big creature tilted her head as if she understood his words. Over the past 3 days, June had been amazed by how smart Hana seemed. She learned quickly which items in the shelter she could touch, and which were off limits. She even tried to copy some of his sounds, making strange noises that almost sounded like words. June had secretly been scanning Hana with his research tools. Your brain activity is incredible, he told her, showing her the screen as if she could read it. Much more complex than the initial reports about your species. Hana pressed her snout against the screen, then looked up at June with those intelligent amber eyes. That evening, while June prepared his dinner of packaged field rations, Hana became restless. She paced the small shelter, her claws clicking. On the floor, sometimes she would stop and press her head against the wall, making a low moaning sound. What's wrong, girl? June asked. Then he noticed the way she kept looking at her swollen belly. Oh, is it time? June had studied animal births in his xenobiology training, but he had never helped with one in real life, especially not with an alien species that was classified as dangerous. But he could see that Hana was in pain. and he couldn't just watch, without helping. Quickly, he cleared the floor space and laid out clean cloths from the medical kit. Hana watched him work, still pacing and moaning. When he was ready, he gently guided her to the nest he had made. "It's okay, Hana. I'm here with you," he said softly. The birthing process began just as night fell. Hana's body shook with contractions. June sat beside her, stroking her scaled head and checking her vital signs with his scanner. Hours passed. The alien creature's pain seemed to grow worse. "Something's wrong," June muttered. The scanner showed the first baby was turned the wrong way. Without thinking about his own safety, June rolled up his sleeves. "I have to help you, Hana. This might hurt." Hana seemed to understand. She lay still as June carefully reached in to turn the first baby. His xenobiology training was being put to the most extreme test. One wrong move could hurt Hana or the baby, or Hana might attack him out of pain and fear. But she didn't. She trusted him. After what seemed like forever, the first baby emerged. It was small, about the size of a kitten, with wet scales that were almost see-through. June quickly cleaned its mouth and nose. The tiny creature made a chirping sound. "You have a baby," June told Hana, placing the newborn near her head. But immediately something strange happened. The baby, despite having eyes that were not yet open, crawled not toward its mother, but toward June. Before June could react, the second baby was coming, then the third. The whole process took all night. By morning light, 5 small alien creatures lay on the floor of the shelter. Each one was slightly different. Some had darker scales, some had lighter patches. One was much smaller than the others. Hana looked exhausted but calm. She licked each baby once, cleaning them. But then the strangest thing happened. She nudged them, all 5, toward June. "What are you doing?" June asked in wonder. "They're your babies." But the tiny creatures, blind and new to the world, all crawled toward him, making chirping and squeaking sounds. They bumped against his legs and tried to climb onto his lap. June's scanner was still on. It showed something amazing. The babies' brains were sending signals that matched the pattern of June's own brainwaves. Somehow, they were connecting with him. "Impossible," June whispered. But it was happening right in front of him. The 5 newborns were imprinting on him, recognizing him as their parent or master. Hana watched calmly, as if this was exactly what she wanted. The smallest baby, the runt of the litter, had trouble crawling. Hana gently picked it up in her mouth and placed it in June's hands. The message couldn't be clearer. "Are you giving them to me?" June asked, stunned. "Why?" Hana made a sound that was almost like speech. Her amber eyes seemed wise and knowing. The scanner showed that her brain waves were also trying to match June's pattern. There was something happening here that went far beyond what any human knew about this alien species. All the reports said that TR-7 creatures were solitary and aggressive. They weren't supposed to form family groups. They weren't supposed to be able to bond with other species. Yet here was Hana, clearly treating June as part of her family, trusting him with her newborns. The sun rose higher, lighting up the shelter through its small windows. June sat on the floor, 5 alien babies crawling over him, their small bodies glowing with a soft bioluminescence that pulsed in time with his heartbeat. Hana lay beside them, watching with what looked like satisfaction. June knew he faced a difficult choice. If he reported this discovery, Hana and her babies would be taken for study. They would be kept in labs, tested, maybe even harmed. The scientific value of such intelligent alien creatures would be too great. But if he kept them secret, he would be breaking every rule of the research station. Looking down at the tiny creatures that had somehow chosen him, feeling their small bodies warm against his skin, June knew he couldn't bear to see them treated as mere specimens. "I'll protect you," he promised them. "All of you." The smallest baby made a sound that seemed to vibrate through June's mind rather than his ears. For a brief moment, he felt a flash of emotion that wasn't his own. Trust, safety, belonging. The feeling faded quickly, but it left June shaken and amazed. Hana rose to her feet, her movement still slow after the birth, but her injuries clearly healing well. She pressed her large head against June's shoulder in a gesture that felt like both gratitude and partnership. As the 5 newborns fell asleep in a pile on June's lap, he started thinking about what to do next. He only had 2 days before Director Minji would send someone to find him. He needed a plan to keep this new, strange family safe. Somehow, in rescuing one injured alien creature, June had become something he never expected to be, a parent to 5 alien babies who already saw him as their master. And he was beginning to see that there was much more to these creatures than anyone at the research base had ever guessed. The little one in his hands opened its tiny mouth in a yawn, showing teeth that were already sharp despite its size. June smiled. Whatever happened next, he knew his life had changed forever. 2 weeks had passed since the birth of Hana's 5 babies. June had found a hidden cave system near the research shelter and turned it into a safe home for his unusual alien family. The cave was warm, dry, and most importantly, did not appear on any of the research station's maps. Each day, June split his time between his official duties and secret visits to the cave. He had managed to convince Director Minji that he needed to establish a long-term observation point in this area. This gave him a reason to stay at the small shelter instead of returning to the main base. "You are growing so fast," June said as he measured the 5 young creatures. They had already tripled in size, now about as big as earth cats. Each one had developed unique colors and patterns on their scales. June had given them all names. The largest one with dark blue scales was Duri. The one with bright patterns that changed color was Sora. The 2 that looked similar with green-tinted scales were Tai and Jay. And the smallest one, the runt of the litter, was Bin. "June," said Sora, mimicking his name in a high, chirping voice. The young creatures had started making speech sounds after just 1 week. Now they could say simple words. "Yes, that's right, I'm June," he answered with a smile. He never stopped being amazed by how smart they were. According to all the scientific data, this species was supposed to be just animals. But these 5 little ones were learning and developing like children. Even more surprising were the other abilities they showed. Yesterday, June had watched in shock as hungry Bin had moved a small fruit across the cave floor without touching it. The little creature had used its mind to bring food closer. All 5 babies seemed to have this ability to move objects with their thoughts when they were excited or hungry. Hana was a good mother, bringing food for her babies and teaching them to hunt small prey. But she always looked to June for approval, as if they were raising the youngsters together. The babies clearly saw June as their leader. They followed his voice commands and came running when he arrived at the cave. June was recording all of this in a private log. What he was witnessing went against everything known about the TR7 species. The thought of sharing his discoveries with the scientific community was exciting, but he worried about what would happen to Hana and her babies if the research station found out about them. As he was playing with the young creatures, teaching them new words, his communication device buzzed. "June, are you there?" It was Kyung, his friend and fellow scientist from the main base. "Yes, I'm here. What's wrong?" June asked, hearing concern in Kyung's voice. "I'm coming to your location. We need to talk in person. It's important." June felt a wave of worry. "Okay, I'm at the shelter. How long until you arrive?" "About an hour. Don't tell anyone I'm coming." Kyung ended the call. June quickly gathered his things. "I have to go now," he told the aliens. "Stay in the cave. It's not safe." He had taught them basic commands like this. Hana seemed to understand and herded her babies deeper into the cave. June returned to the shelter and waited nervously for Kyung. When his friend finally arrived, Kyung looked tired and worried. "What's happening?" June asked as he let Kyung into the shelter. Kyung sat down heavily. "Everything has changed at the base. Director Minji is gone. We have a new leader now, Corporate Overseer Han. The research mission is no longer about scientific discovery. It's about finding valuable alien biology that can be used for profit." June felt cold fear spread through his body. "What do you mean?" Han works for the company that funds our mission. They want to find alien biology that can be used for medicine, weapons, anything that makes money. Kyung leaned forward. They are especially interested in the TR7 species. They've already captured 3 adult creatures. What have they done to them? June asked, his voice tight. Kyung looked down. They ran tests, invasive procedures. 2 of the creatures died during testing. Han was angry about that. He wants live specimens, especially young ones that can be studied as they grow. June tried to keep his face calm, though his heart was racing. Why are you telling me this? Because I know you, June. You've been acting strange, staying away from base, making excuses. Kyung looked directly at June. You found something out here, didn't you? Something you're keeping secret. Before June could answer, there was a small chirping sound from outside the shelter. Both men froze. What was that? Kyung asked. The sound came again, followed by scratching at the door. June closed his eyes briefly. One of the babies had followed him. June, called a small voice. June. Kyung's eyes widened. Is that? The scratching continued. June knew he couldn't hide his secret any longer. He opened the door, and Duri, the curious one of the litter, bounded in. The young creature stopped when it saw Kyung, tilting its head in confusion. Friend? Duri asked, looking at June. Kyung stood up in shock. It talks, and it knows you. He stared at the young alien, then back at June. What have you done? June sighed and knelt beside Duri. This is one of 5. I rescued their mother when she was injured and pregnant. The babies were born 2 weeks ago. 5. Kyung whispered, still staring at Duri in amazement. And they can talk? Do they all recognize you like this? Yes, they imprinted on me at birth. They see me as their parent, I guess. Or master. June stroked Duri's scaled head. They're incredibly intelligent, more than anyone knows, and they have abilities. They can move things with their minds. As if to demonstrate, Duri focused on Kyung's water bottle. It slid across the table toward the young creature. Kyung jumped back. That's impossible. I've been documenting everything. They're not just animals, Kyung. They understand, they learn, they have feelings. Kyung slowly sat down again, his eyes never leaving Duri. If Han knew about this, he would take them immediately. The company would pay millions for creatures with these abilities. June nodded grimly. That's why I've kept them secret. I can't let them be turned into lab experiments. Duri climbed onto June's lap and made a soft purring sound. After a moment of watching them, Kyung's face softened. I've never seen anything like this. The bond between you is real. He reached out a hesitant hand, and Duri sniffed it curiously. Where are the others? In a cave system nearby. I've been taking care of them between my regular duties. Kyung was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Finally, he said, You know I should report this. It's my job. And you know what will happen if you do, June replied. Before Kyung could answer, there was a loud thump outside the shelter. Both men turned as the door swung open. Hana stood there, her large body filling the doorway. In her mouth was a metal object. She dropped it on the floor with a clang. It was a broken communication device, the kind used by the security teams. From the research base, Mother, chirped Duri, running to Hana. Kyung had gone pale. Is that their mother? Yes. June looked at the communication device, then back at Hana. Where did you get this? Hana made a series of sounds and gestured with her head toward the forest. Her message was clear enough. She had found humans in the forest. Probably a security team looking for TR7 specimens. June picked up the broken device. Did you? He couldn't finish the question. Hana looked at him with those intelligent amber eyes. She didn't need to answer. To protect her babies, she had confronted the security team. The broken device was proof of what had happened. Kyung stood up shakily. Your alien friend just attacked a security team. Do you understand what this means? Han will send more people, they'll hunt her down. June looked from Hana to Duri, then to Kyung. Now you see why I have to protect them. They're just defending their family. Kyung ran a hand through his hair. This is bigger than I thought. He looked at June seriously. I won't report you, not yet. But you need a better plan than hiding in a cave. Han is determined, and he has resources. Will you help us? June asked. Before Kyung could answer, Hana stepped forward and stared directly at him. She made a sound that was almost like speech. Then she lowered her head, showing trust. Kyung looked from the alien mother to her baby, then to June. This is against everything I've been taught. But yes, I'll help you. These creatures deserve better than what Han would do to them. June felt relief flood through him. But it was short-lived. The damage was done. Hana had confronted a security team. Soon, more would come searching. Time was running out for June's strange adopted family. A month had passed since Kyung discovered June's secret. With his help, June had moved Hana and her 5 growing babies deeper into the cave system, far from the regular patrol routes of the research station's security teams. The young aliens were now knee-high to a human and growing stronger every day. Their ability to speak had improved amazingly fast. June, look what I can do, called Sora, the one with color-changing scales. June watched in wonder as Sora focused on a small boulder. The rock lifted off the ground and floated through the air. Sora held it there for several seconds before gently setting it down. That's amazing, Sora, June said, recording the event on his private datapad. Your abilities are getting stronger. All 5 young aliens could now move objects with their minds, but Sora was the best at it. Duri was the best at speaking, while Tai and Jay worked together perfectly as a team when hunting. Little Bin, still smaller than the others, had developed the strongest mental connection with June. June sad? Bin asked, pressing against June's leg. The small creature could sense June's feelings now. Just worried, June replied, patting Bin's head. Corporate Overseer Han is sending more search teams into these hills. Kyung says they are especially looking for young TR7 specimens now. Hana, who had been resting nearby, raised her head at this. She had grown very protective of her babies and of June. Her wounds were completely healed now, and she was a fearsome sight when angry. June's communicator beeped, showing a message from Kyung. Need to meet. Important news. Coming to shelter. In 1 hour. I have to go, June told the aliens. Kyung is coming. Stay here and be quiet. Be careful, said Duri, now able to form simple sentences. Bad humans looking. June nodded and made his way back to the research shelter. He arrived just as Kyung was approaching from the other direction. His friend looked nervous and kept looking over his shoulder. What's wrong? June asked as they entered the shelter. Kyung pulled out his datapad. I found something in the research files, something Han didn't want anyone to see. He showed June the screen. Look at this DNA analysis of the TR7 species. June studied the data, his eyes widening. This can't be right. These genetic markers. Exactly, Kyung said. TR7 isn't native to Proxima b. The species shows signs of genetic engineering. They were created, not evolved. Created? By whom? There's no evidence of an advanced civilization on this planet. That's the big question. Kyung scrolled through more data. Their brain structure is designed for advanced neural connections. Their telekinetic abilities are not natural mutations. Someone made these creatures, possibly as weapons or servant beings. June sat down heavily. That explains so much. The way they learn so quickly. Their ability to form mental bonds. Their powers. Han doesn't care about the science, Kyung said bitterly. He just sees profit. The company is offering a huge bounty now for live specimens, especially young ones. June looked sharply at his friend. Kyung couldn't meet his eyes. How huge? June asked quietly. Enough to buy a private island on Earth, Kyung answered. Han has doubled the security teams. They're using advanced trackers now. June stood up. I need to move Hana and the babies again, somewhere even further from the base. It might be too late, Kyung whispered. June, But before he could finish, the shelter door burst open. Hana stood there, her scales dark with anger, her amber eyes blazing. She made a sound that was almost a word. Betrayed. June rushed outside and felt his heart stop. The cave entrance was surrounded by security forces in protective gear. Two of them were loading cages onto a transport vehicle. Inside the cages were Tae and Jae, their small bodies pressed against the bars. "No!" June shouted, starting to run toward them. Kyung grabbed his arm. "Don't! You'll be arrested for hiding them." June turned to Kyung, sudden understanding hitting him like a blow. "You told them. You reported us." Kyung's face was pale. "The bounty, June. It was so much money. I thought maybe we could share it. They promised not to hurt the creatures." Hana growled, a deep sound that made both men step back. She looked at Kyung with such hatred that he moved behind June. "Where are the others?" June asked desperately. "Duri, Sora, Bin. Still hiding in the cave system," Kyung said. "The security team only found 2 of them." Han was mad. He wanted all 5, plus the mother. June pushed Kyung away in disgust. "You betrayed us. They trusted you." "I'm sorry," Kyung said, but his eyes kept darting to his communicator. "But it's too late now. Han knows everything. He has Tae and Jae. He'll get the others too." Hana made a strange chirping call. From the trees at the edge of the clearing, 3 small heads appeared. Duri, Sora, and Bin had escaped the security team and followed their mother. As they came into the open, June saw something different about them. Their eyes were glowing with an intense light. They moved with perfect coordination, like dancers, in a group. When they reached Hana, they formed a circle, their scales pulsing with light that matched each other's rhythm. "What are they doing?" Kyung asked, his voice shaking. June watched in amazement. "They're connecting, strengthening their mental bond." The 3 young aliens turned to look at June. Suddenly, he felt a wave of emotion that wasn't his own. Fear, anger, determination, and most strongly, a call for help. They were reaching out to him with their minds. Then, most incredibly, he got a clear image in his head. A picture of Tae and Jae in their cages, afraid but alive. He could feel their presence through the mental connection. "I can sense them," June said in wonder. "The captured ones. The babies are linked together mentally, and somehow I'm part of their network." Kyung stared at him. "That's impossible." "Nothing about these creatures is what we thought," June said. He turned to Kyung, his face hard. "You need to help me get Tae and Jae back." Kyung backed away. "I can't. Han would have me arrested too." Hana stepped toward Kyung, growling. For the first time since June had met her, the alien creature showed aggression toward a human. Her claws extended, her teeth bared. "Hana? No," June said quickly. But he understood her anger. Kyung turned and ran, disappearing into the forest, toward the main base. Hana watched him go, still growling. June knelt beside the 3 remaining young aliens. "We'll get them back," he promised. Somehow, Duri pressed against him. "We know where they are. We feel them." Sora's scales flashed with colors that matched the emotion June felt flowing from the young creature. "They're scared. Humans hurt them." Bin, the smallest, looked up at June with glowing eyes. "Help them, Master." It was the first time any of them had called him that. "Master." June felt the weight of their trust, their dependence on him. These incredible beings with powers humans couldn't understand were looking to him for protection and guidance. "We need a plan," June said, stroking Bin's head. "The research station has security we can't fight directly." Hana made a sound and gestured toward the forest with her head. "Mother knows a way," Duri translated. "Underground tunnels, to the big place where humans live." June realized Hana must have been exploring while hunting, finding ways into the research station that the humans didn't know about. "Tonight," June decided. "We'll go tonight when most of the staff is sleeping." He looked at the 3 young aliens and their mother. "We'll bring Tae and Jae home." As darkness fell, June gathered what supplies he could. He knew that after tonight he could never return to his human colleagues. He would be considered a traitor, helping alien creatures attack a human facility. But looking at the small family that had adopted him, he felt no doubt. His place was with them now. They had to move fast. Kyung would warn Han. Security would be increased around the captured young aliens. And June knew that once the scientists began their tests, Tae and Jae might never be the same again. As the twin moons of Proxima b rose in the sky, June and his strange family set out through the forest. The young aliens' eyes glowed in the darkness, their mental bond guiding them toward their captured siblings. "We're coming," June whispered, hoping that somehow, through their shared mental connection, Tae and Jae could feel his promise. "Hold on. We're coming for you." The red light of Proxima Centauri, the star that this planet orbited, was just beginning to fade when June and his strange family reached the edge of the research station. The main buildings glowed with artificial light against the darkening sky. Security guards patrolled the outer fence with stun weapons. "There are too many guards," June whispered, crouching behind a large rock. Beside him, Hana made a soft sound and nudged him toward a thick patch of blue-leafed plants. "Mother says follow," Duri translated, the young alien's speech now almost as clear as a human child's. June followed Hana through the plants to a spot where the ground seemed solid. But when Hana pawed at it, a section moved to reveal a hole. "A tunnel entrance hidden from human eyes. How did you find this?" June asked in amazement. Sora's scales flashed with colors that seemed to show pride. "Mother explored while hunting. Humans never look underground." The tunnel was barely big enough for Hana to fit through. June went first, using the light from his small tool to guide them. The three young aliens followed, moving silently, their eyes glowing softly in the darkness. Hana came last, her larger body just managing to squeeze through the narrow parts. "Can you feel them?" June asked quietly as they moved deeper under the research station. Bin, the smallest of the aliens, pressed against June's leg. "Yes, Tae and Jae are scared. They are in a cold place, metal all around them." The high-security laboratory, June realized. That's where Han would keep them for testing. The tunnel branched several times. Each time the young aliens would pause, their eyes glowing brighter as they used their mental link to sense which way would lead to their captured siblings. "This way," Duri said at the fourth junction. "They are close now." The tunnel ended at what looked like a ventilation shaft that led upward. June could see artificial light filtering down through a grate above. "We need to be very quiet now," June told his companions. "If they catch us, we might all end up in cages." Carefully, June climbed up and peered through the grate. He was looking into a storage room filled with equipment. There was no one inside. "Wait. Here," he told the aliens. "I'll check if it's safe." June pushed the grate up and climbed into the room. He recognized where he was now. The storage room was connected to the main laboratory where he had worked many times before. Listening at the door, he could hear voices. "The tests must begin tonight," said a cold voice that June recognized as Corporate Overseer Han. "The larger specimen is showing remarkable neural activity. I want tissue samples from both of them while they're still healthy." "But sir," said another voice, "these specimens are just babies. If we wait until they're older..." "We have orders from company headquarters," Han cut in. "The neural tissue is most valuable at this developmental stage. Prepare the surgical equipment." June felt a wave of panic and anger. They were going to cut into Tae and Jae tonight. He had to act fast. Returning to the shaft, he whispered down to the waiting aliens. "They're going to hurt Tae and Jae soon. We need to create a distraction." "We can help," Sora said, eyes glowing brightly. "We can turn off the lights." June was confused for a moment, then remembered how the young aliens' telekinetic powers had been growing. "Can you really do that? Affect the electrical systems?" All three young aliens looked at each other, their scales pulsing with synchronized light. "Together we can," Duri said. "We practice when you sleep." June nodded. "Okay. When the lights go out, I'll get Tae and Jae. Hana, you stay here with Duri, Sora, and Bin. If something goes wrong, take them and run." Hana made a sound that clearly meant no. She wasn't going to let June face danger alone. "We all go," Bin said firmly. "Family stays together." June felt a lump in his throat. These creatures truly saw him as part of their family. All right, but stay close to me. He helped the aliens up through the grate. Once they were all in the storage room, the three young ones formed a circle, their eyes glowing brighter than June had ever seen. They seemed to be concentrating intensely. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered. Then they went out completely. Shouts of surprise came from the main laboratory. "Emergency power failure," announced a computerized voice. "Backup systems activating in 30 seconds. Now," June whispered, opening the storage room door. The main laboratory was in chaos. Scientists were fumbling in the darkness. June could just make out two small cages on a central table. Inside each was one of the missing young aliens. "Tay J," he called softly. The captives made excited chirping sounds when they heard his voice. June ran to the cages, finding the latches by touch in the darkness. He opened them quickly. Tay and Jay leaped out and pressed against him, trembling. "You came," Tay said, his voice weak. "Master came for us." "Of course I did," June replied, hugging them briefly. "Now we need to go quickly." But as the group turned to leave, the backup lights came on, bathing the laboratory in a red emergency glow. Standing in the doorway was Corporate Overseer Han, with Kyung beside him. "I told you he would come for them," Kyung said, not meeting June's eyes. Han smiled coldly. "June, you've saved us the trouble of hunting down the rest of these valuable specimens." He pressed a button on his wrist device. "Security to the main lab. Containment situation." June backed up, the 5 young aliens gathering around him protectively. Hana moved forward, her teeth bared, a deep growl rumbling from her chest. "You don't understand what these creatures are," June said. "They're intelligent beings. They have feelings, thoughts. They're not just specimens for you to cut up. They're company property," Han replied. "Assets worth billions in research potential." The 5 young aliens suddenly moved into a perfect circle around June. Their scales began to pulse with synchronized light. June felt a strange energy building in the air around them. "What are they doing?" Kyung asked nervously. The young aliens' eyes glowed with intense light. Objects in the laboratory began to shake. Test tubes rattled in their racks. Computer screens flickered with strange patterns. "Stop them!" Han shouted. But as security personnel appeared in the doorway, they found they couldn't enter the room. Some invisible force was holding them back. June felt the mental connection with the young aliens grow stronger than ever. Images flooded his mind. Stars, planets, strange alien beings standing alongside creatures very much like Hana. He saw these beings and creatures working together, living together. They were made to be guardians, June said, understanding coming to him through the mental link. Created by another civilization to protect and serve. That's why they bonded with me. It's in their very DNA. The young aliens' power continued to grow. A shimmering field of energy formed around their group, pushing back the humans who tried to approach. "This is impossible," Han said, his cold confidence finally breaking. "What are they?" "Their family," June answered simply. "My family. And we're leaving now." As the security team tried once more to advance, all 5 young aliens acted together. With a synchronized pulse of mental energy, they knocked the humans back against the walls. No one was seriously hurt, but none could stand. June led his family toward the exit. Kyung stood in their path, shaking. "June, I'm sorry. I didn't know Han would..." Hana stepped forward, facing Kyung. Instead of attacking, she touched her forehead to his. Kyung gasped and froze. After a moment, Hana stepped back. Kyung looked stunned, his eyes wide with something like wonder. "What did she do to him?" June asked. "Showed him truth," Dury explained. "Showed him who we really are." Kyung stepped aside, letting them pass. "Go," he whispered. "I'll delay them as long as I can." Outside the laboratory, alarms were blaring. The young aliens used their combined power to disable security doors, allowing the group to move quickly through the station toward the landing pads where ships were kept. "We need to get off this planet," June said. Han and the company won't stop hunting us here. Where will we go? Asked Sora. June thought of an old friend who operated trading ships between the outer colonies. Someone who owed him a favor and didn't ask too many questions. I know someone who can help us, he said as they reached the communication center. If we can just send a message. Working quickly, June sent an emergency call to his friend's ship, which was scheduled to be in the system. The response came, back almost immediately. On my way, landing pad 3 in 10 minutes, be ready. As they made their way to the landing pad, Hana suddenly stopped and looked back. More security forces were coming. There was no way to reach the pad without being seen. We need cover, June said desperately. The 5 young aliens looked at each other. Then, moving as one, they raised their front limbs. The air around the group shimmered and bent. To anyone looking, they would appear nearly invisible. Hurry, Tay said, strain evident in his voice. Hard to hold this long. They moved onto the landing pad just as a small trading ship descended from the night sky. The cargo door opened, revealing June's friend, who stared in shock at the bizarre family before him. You didn't mention your travel companions, he said, to June. I'll explain later. Can you get us out of here? His friend nodded. Get in, fast. As they boarded the ship, security forces finally spotted them and opened fire. The young aliens combined their power one last time, deflecting the energy blasts while they all got safely inside. The ship lifted off immediately, racing away from the research station and planet Proxy.